Hello. So here we are again. As you can see, we are at the lake. So I just stepped out of the office and came down here to the lake to do some testing of the camera, the C200. I would like to test the dynamic range the camera has. But what is dynamic range? Dynamic range is the latitude, how much of this brightness difference from very dark to very bright can the camera actually capture. The camera is supposed to cover 15 stops of dynamic range. Well, this is what it does on paper, but let's see what it does in real life. On a day like this, well, there is a little bit of sun, but the sun is kind of, disappearing and appearing from behind the clouds. But we do have pretty dark shadows around. I mean, you will see in a little while. And obviously we have those clouds back there, and the clouds usually have bright parts, and they are pretty bright, and they don't go very well with the shadows. So either your image is too bright because you see what's happening in the shadows, or your image is too dark because you see what's happening in the bright areas, so in the clouds or something like that. Obviously this is not a scientific test, so I'm just trying to level out the exposure so that it's comparable between the different ISO levels, and let's see how much of a range we get into it and how much grain we get into the shadow areas. So this is the shot I have chosen and how it looks like to the naked eye. The sun actually came out, so out here you can see there is a lot of contrast, and the shadow areas are really quite dark because it was really bright outside. But here we go. That's what I try to do. I try to recover as much as possible of the information from the dark areas. Usually you would expose for your subject, and then you would see where you are with the bright areas, and maybe they're clipped, maybe not. So I said, let's do it the other way around. Let's expose for the brightest areas, so they are in our dynamic range, and then we see what happens with the black or dark areas. How much of that we can recover and how much grain we are going to get, because that's usually the problem, the grain that you get in the dark areas. And as you can see on the lower ISO side, there is no problem at all. It looks really neat, considering it's a 4K image. And only on the higher ISO values here you see there's quite some grain developing, obviously. But very happy with the results, I have to say. So I hope you will like this little test, and if you do, subscribe, and see you next time.